Peter Pan, that's what they call me. Promise that you never be lonely. Peter Pan, that's what they call me. Promise that you never.
Stealing into its capital like a thief in the night. I don't know. What would you think?
What is this? Nothing case. Oh my gosh.
So when the plot to uncover assassination was found out, his friend gave him that stuff for protection.
Okay, now who can I say that again?
Lincoln's friend gave him that stuff for protection when they found out.
The brass knuckles
and the
all that
knife
stuff?
when they found out people were trying to kill him.
Oh my god. Those were his actual.
Hi.
So guys, welcome to the museum. You're going to be with me till probably around 4:20 to 4:25. And when the room finishes up top, I'll be able to let you up there. Okay.
And what is up top?
So that's the theater. So that's where Lincoln was assassinated. Here in the basement, here in the museum space.
Okay.
So if you want a full understanding of the Civil War, go that way and kind of work your way back to the end of the timeline.
Okay.
You will see the most important objects. Go straight to the back of the timeline.
Cool.
So guys, come on, Rick, welcome. You're
Huh?
going to be with us in the museum until about 4:25.
What?
That part, 4:25. They should be
I know, aren't we walking around this way? Swarm of seekers. Next to war itself, nothing required more of Lincoln's time and energy than the office seekers who invaded his White House. Scarcely a decade had passed since then Congressman Lincoln had lobbied unsuccessfully for the position of Commissioner of the General Land Office. This gave him a curious empathy with the world postmaster. Cool. Is that Ulysses S. Grant? Kind of looks like him. Alright, what is this? Oh, it's a quilt. This quilt was made for 1864 Sanitary Fair and was signed by many well-known politicians, artists, and military and religious leaders. Cool. Fort Sumter and Torreyer Sunrise, December 9th, 1864. Here's a flag fragment from Fort Sumner, fragment of the flag that hung at Fort Sumter during the beginning of the Civil War. Robert Toombs, Jeffrey Davis. The firing on that fort will inaugurate a civil war greater than any world that has yet seen. What? I read that wrong, but yeah. General-in-Chief Winfield Scott devises the Anaconda Plan to squeeze the life out of the Confederacy. I don't know what that's about. Spring 1861, supplies and bunks are set up in the Treasury and Capitol buildings as Washington prepares for siege. April 25th, 1861, troops from New York, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island arrived to defend the capital. May 24th, 1861, the Union has its first casualty. Colonel Elmer Ellsworth is killed taking down a Confederate flag. What? On July 4th, Lincoln sends a special message to Congress to gain support for the war. Let's copy that letter. Who's this? George B. McLean. Alright, they call him Little Mac. In July 1861, days after the unexpected defeat of the Union Army at Bull Run near Manassas, Virginia, Lincoln entrusted the Army of the Potomac, oh, I just wrote on the Potomac, to a 35-year-old General George B. McClellan, a brilliant organizer dubbed the Young Napoleon by his admirers. Just a couple more things over here of him. McClellan snubs Lincoln, huh? Point at you. Who's that? Lincoln fires the Secretary of War, Simon Cameron, and appoints Edwin M. Stanton in his place. An American naval captain boards the British Royal Mail vessel Trent, angering British people. I don't know why they got angry. Lincoln issues General War Order Number 1, January 27th, 1862. There's General Ulysses S. Grant. The art of war is simple enough. Find out where your enemy is, get at him as soon as you can, strike him as hard as you can, and keep moving on. Alright, it's good to know. This stuff. Some of the White House china. An evening fan, because you know they didn't have AC back then. It's over here. It's a picture of Lincoln. Is that his wife? She's kind of not too pretty, huh? What's that? Thomas Tad Lincoln. Is that his kid? Willie Lincoln. Everyone agreed William Wallace Lincoln was his parents' favorite. Oh. I see this is his family. Huh. He's a something. Mary is the daughter of Kentucky slave owners. Had her closest friend in Washington, a former slave and dressmaker named Elizabeth Kentley. Oh. Freedom Road. Whenever I hear anyone arguing for slavery, I felt a strong impulse to see it tried on him personally. Legal slavery. At the time of Lincoln's election, the presidency, there were 4 million slaves in the United States. Lincoln's position on slavery was clear. He hated it as an institution. He did not believe, however, that he had legal authority to attack it, much less abolish it, in those parts of the Union where it was most deeply entrenched. Free slave states. So are they like color coded? Is like, I'm assuming the reds are free states. The dark one, black one is probably where slaves are, and the green is maybe unregistered land. I'm not sure. I don't know what these are. So the institution of slavery is founded on both injustice and bad policy. Amen. Congressman Lincoln introduced a bill to allow for emancipation in the District of Columbia, with slave owners to be financially compensated for their slaves. The proposed legislation goes nowhere. That's sad. September 1862, following the defeat at the Second Battle of Bull Run, McClellan is victorious at Antietam. Ooh, what's this?
Two men parted that day with a promise to meet
Pardon me.
again. Following their meeting, Douglas took Lincoln at his word and worked tirelessly to help recruit 180,000 black soldiers, including 2 of his own sons, to serve in Union armies. More than 30,000 would make the supreme sacrifice. Their valor challenged racist notions and changed the face of the war. Over the next 2 years, Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass would meet twice more. Their final encounter took place following Lincoln's second inauguration. When Douglass arrived at a reception at the White House that evening, he found that blacks were barred from attending. Here comes my friend,
Oh, that's cool.
Douglass.
Emancipation Proclamation. This artistic copy of the Emancipation Proclamation in German was created in 1865 by W.H. Pratt, a clerk from Iowa. Heavier pen strokes in the script highlight Lincoln's features. See it? You guys see it? Alright, April 16th, 1862, President Lincoln signs legislation to end slavery in the District of Columbia. So he fought for it as a senator, and he passed it as a president. That's a good man you are there, man. You are a good man. July 22nd, 1862, Lincoln confides in his cabinet, reading them a draft proclamation that would free, as of January 1st, 1863, all slaves in the United States. Intense debate follows. Might the act lead to slave insurrections? Could it withstand challenges in the courts? Lincoln reluctantly agrees to put his draft aside. The theater, John Ford's new theater. So this is like a replica of one of the theater seats where they would sit. Lincoln held strong opinions about how Shakespeare should be presented. A farce or a comedy is best played, he explained. A tragedy is best read at home. Nor did he mind sharing his theories with the theater professionals. For example, after seeing actor James Hackett as Falstaff in Henry IV, the president wrote Hackett to tell him how much he enjoyed his work. Hackett then published a letter exposing Lincoln, the drama critic, to newspaper ridicule. In 1861, theater manager John T. Ford converted the vacant First Baptist Church on 10th Street into a music hall and playhouse. So this used to be a Baptist church. When the popular Ford was destroyed by fire the following year, Ford decided to rebuild his Ford's new theater, opened in 1863. Cool. That's the Ford dude right there. Diversion. If there is a worse place than hell, I am in it. Oh, well, I wouldn't say that, but just have faith, buddy. Pray. Lincoln had few diversions to take his mind off the war. He laughed out loud at humorists like Artemus Ward and Petroleum V. Nasby, both pen names. Ward rest me more than, he told one White House visitor. Often the Lincolns took afternoon carriage rides or went to concerts, since the president enjoyed all kinds of music from the grand opera to military bands. Cool. An eerie encounter, uh-oh. In November 1863, the Lincolns attended a Ford's Theater performance of The Marble Heart, starring the youngest member of the famous Booth theatrical family, 24-year-old John Wilkes Booth. Handsome and athletic, Booth was an authentic matinee idol. So when did he meet? So he met him the first time in November 1863 when he was 24. Booth was fervently pro-Southern, making no attempt among his immediate associates to conceal his growing hatred of Lincoln. He hinted as much that evening, glancing up at the presidential box, even as he delivered some of the play's most threatening lines. Oh, so he's doing a play, and he was reading threatening lines, kept looking up at the president. He looks as if he meant that for you, one of the presidential party remarked to Lincoln. He does. Look pretty sharp at me, doesn't he? Concerned Lincoln. Conceited Lincoln. The Gettysburg Address. A revolving door of Union generals. Oh, here's some of the generals. Winfield Scott, Irving McDowell, George B. McClellan, John Pope, Ambrose Burnside, Joseph Hooker, George Meade, and Ulysses S. Grant. Here's kind of what the theater looks like. Here's a statue of it, Lincoln. Reading his book. I wonder if that's life size. We're like about the same height there, buddy. Well, maybe not. You might be a little taller. I don't know. How tall was you? What is this? Nominations announcement. The National Convention. I'm at a convention now. I think I go this way. Let y'all look at some of this stuff. You can slow it down to playback or speed up, pardon me. I think I go this way. The second inaugural address on January 31st, 1865, Lincoln used his influence to secure passage of the amendment to the Constitution abolishing slavery throughout the United States. 5 weeks later, the president took the oath of office a second time. The sun came out from the clouds as he delivered the famous words invoking the Almighty and justifying the long war, even as he appealed for peace. With malice towards none, with charity for all. Cool. David Harrod, I'm assuming that's him. Samuel Arnold. This is Mary Surratt. John Wilkes Booth. Yeah. What is that? Oh, yeah, that's important. The gun that killed Abraham Lincoln. With a single shot, John Wilkes Booth changed the course of American history. The gun he chose was a .44 caliber pistol made by Henry Derringer, a Philadelphian. One shot was all Booth had, a modern version of the .44 caliber lead bog. So here it is. This is the gun that shot Abraham Lincoln. Alright, so here's one of several pillows used under Lincoln's head at the Peterson House. Notice the blood stains. That's one of the pillows that had the blood soaking up from his headshot. Alright, we're entering Ford's Theater.
Went through the museum, but you have to watch that on this video.
April 14th, 1865. So at 8 a.m., Lincoln has breakfast with his family. 9 a.m., he's in his room at the National Hotel. John Wilkes Booth rises and dresses. 11 a.m., before his cabinet meeting, Lincoln sends a message to Ford's Theater that he will attend the evening's performance. Also at 11, Booth strolls to, oh, I see, this side is Booth. This side is Abraham. So Booth strolls to Ford's Theater, picking up his mail. He learns of the letter delivered to Ford that morning, confirming that the President and Mrs. Lincoln will attend that evening's performance. So then at noon, at the stable near Ford's Theater, Booth arranges to rent a horse for a fellow conspirator. 3, his meeting concluded. Lincoln's meeting concluded for the day. Lincoln takes a carriage ride with the First Lady. So yeah, 1, Booth visits Mary Surratt at her boarding house. He hands her a small wrapped package containing filled glasses to be delivered to her family tavern in Swartsville, Maryland. Okay. 4 p.m., Lincoln and Mary visit the Navy Yard and tour the iconic vessel Montego. Alright, and at 6 p.m., Lincoln relaxes with an old friend from Illinois. 8 p.m. at Harridan House, both reviews plans with co-conspirators Lewis Powell, George Aston, and David Harold. Alright. 8:30. The Lincolns arrive at Ford's Theater, the production stops, and the orchestra plays Hail to the Chief. Cool. 9. Booth approaches the rear of Ford's Theater through a narrow passage known as Baptist Alley. He asks Starehand Ned Spangler to hold his horse. Then at 10, Booth enters the lobby of Ford's Theater. He heads up the stairs to the dressing circle. He hands his card to the Lincoln's footman and enters the back of the president's theater box. 10 p.m. Lincoln and Mary hold hands. Mary wonders what young Clara will think, and the president replies, "She won't think anything about it." These were the last words Lincoln spoke. Aww. Uh-oh, here we are. We're in the Ford Theater. All right. So, yeah, I believe over here, right, is where Lincoln was, and with his wife, and then John Wilkes Booth came through there, and that's where he got shot. And then after he shot him, he jumped down here to escape and broke his left leg, ran through there, and tried to escape through the alley where he had horses waiting for him by 2 stablemen. So yeah, I would definitely break a leg jumping that far. It's cool, actually. Just imagine. I believe they said it holds a little more than 600 people in here. Very cool, right? Just imagine, like, being here in a good center row seat, like right here, right? And just watching a show, and over there is Abraham Lincoln, and you just see him get shot in the back of the head with his wife sitting next to him. And John Wilkes Booth hops down, breaks his leg, and tries to run out. It's crazy.
Guess we need to go across the street.
All right. Lincoln in 1860. All right. So I think we go to the Peterson House next. Let me find out. All right, so now we're going into the Peterson House. And this is the house where Lincoln died.
Hello, how are you? Good, how are you?
They took him over here after he was shot because they knew he wouldn't make it to the nearest hospital. Who lived in the Peterson House? When Abraham Lincoln was shot at Ford's Theater on April 14, 1865, soldiers carried the unconscious president across the street to this house, where he died the next morning, meeting the residents who witnessed his historic tragedy. William Peterson, Henry Safford, Willie Clark, Henry and Julius Ook. So this is a photograph of the room where Lincoln died.
His name was Henry Safford. They couldn't, there was a riot occurring on the street, so they just couldn't do any better than this. This is just the best they could do, and they knew he was going to die. They were just trying to bring some dignity to his last hours.
So this is a picture of it being set up as a museum a long time ago. Admission, 30 cents. Is that what that said? 30 cents. Temporary seat of government. Back parlor. Huh? Edwin M. Stanton directed all functions of the executive branch from this room. Stanton conducted interrogations and directed the manhunt for Booth and his accomplices. So this is where that dude held, like, he was interrogating the people, trying to figure out what happened. Alright, I'm assuming this is President Lincoln died in this room. 722 on April 15th, 1865. So this is the bed where he died, huh? Huh.
So easy. I'm gonna have scuff and black crepe drape wash pieces, the sessions for proclamation.
Here's like some newspaper article clippings.
His brother wanted to re-elect him.
Going home. There have never been anything like it. The vast rolling pageant of grief that lasted 14 days and covered 1,700 miles. An estimated 7 million Americans, 1 in every 3 living outside the former Confederacy, viewed the presidential casket in 11 cities or glimpsed the funeral train as it slowly traced a route similar to the one Lincoln had followed in his first inauguration. So they had his dead body like on a train. And, oh, here's the like casket in the train car. Yeah. So this is, oh, it's like the train car and the casket he was in when they took him around on the tour. Wow. On April 19th, 1865, an estimated 25 million Americans, 83% of the total population, attended memorial services for the President Lincoln in churches and public squares all across the country. So when he passed away, 83% of Americans mourned him in their own churches locally. He's a loved man. Here's his final journey. This is the train they had him on, where they showed him to everybody. That kind of looks like Ohio. Stopped in Columbus. And then that looks like Chicago.
They do a recreation at our stadium.
Yeah, Chicago and Columbus. See, that's... Here's a map of where John Wilkes Booth tried to escape. From Virginia to Maryland and Delaware, John Wilkes Booth used this map during his 12 days escape. Soldiers removed it from his pockets after his capture. The interior of the book shows the map was labeled Exhibit number 27 by the Military Commission's trial. So this is the map he used to escape. Here's a notice. $100,000 reward. The murderer of our late beloved President Abraham Lincoln is still at large. $50,000 will be paid by the department for his apprehension. In addition, $5,000 will be paid for the apprehension of John X. Surratt, one of Booth's accomplices, and another $25,000 will be paid for the apprehension of David C. Harold, another Booth accomplice. Manhunt. Follow John Wilkes Booth and David Harold on the 12-day escape through the woods and swamps of Maryland and Virginia. So they started up here on April 14th, April 15th, down the 16th to the 20th. I believe this is all on horse. Oh yeah. This is the alley where he escaped, right next to the theater. Right now they have a escape room built there. Objects been templated. I think they had a pillow. He said they removed it because it was one of the bloody pillows, the big one. They removed it because it was deteriorating, so they wanted to keep it safe. This is a reproduction of the canvas hoods worn by the conspirators during the imprisonment at the old federal penitentiary. The hood covered the entire head, leaving only small openings at the mouth. On July 5th, President Johnson approved the sentences handed down by the Military Commission. Frantic efforts were made to prevent Mary Surratt from becoming the first woman executed by federal government. Her daughter went to the White House to beg for mercy, but the president would not see her. Despite this and other pleas, President Johnson signed the death warrant. The deed is done. Outside the prison walls, a crowd celebrated the executions with lemonade and cake. Soon the gallows were broken up and fragments distributed as souvenirs. 3.5 years later, the remains of the conspirators were exhumed from the prison yard and released to their families for reburial. I don't know what these steps are. Somebody tell me if y'all know. General Electric, Kathy and Don Humphreys. Oh, donators? Yeah, probably donators. The Home Depot, yeah, okay. People who donated. Can we get a step? How much does that cost? Oh. These are all the books about Lincoln. Yeah. It's a lot of bucks. So in 1866 to 1914, they used Ford's as an office building processing Civil War veteran records. It also houses the Surgeon General's office. So they used it for different things, like the Army Medical Museum, today's National Museum of Health and Medicine, occupies the 3rd floor of Ford's Theater. Oh. 1965 to 68. After years of consideration, the National Park Services restores Ford's Theater to its 1865 appearance. Look at this. These have been removed. Ooh, what were those called? I used to have one of those things. What are those called? Viewfinder. Yeah, the Chevy's like, have you played with Lincoln Logs? No, I've never played with Lincoln Logs. I played with Legos, mofo. What y'all play with? Leave me a comment below. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Arguably, few presidents have shown a higher regard for Lincoln than Eisenhower. As a military man, he admired Lincoln's generosity towards subordinates like General George McClellan. As a president, Eisenhower occupied the Lincoln pew in the New York Avenue Presbyterian Church. At the White House, he kept a complete set of Lincoln's collected works in the Oval Office, and he painted a portrait of the first Republican president and hung it in the cabinet room. Cool. Franklin D. Roosevelt. I think it's time for us Democrats to claim Lincoln as one of our own, wrote Franklin Roosevelt, the governor of New York in 1929. Lincoln was a many-sided man, emancipator, not of slaves alone, but of those of heavy hearts everywhere. Roosevelt visited the Lincoln Memorial on every Friday 12th, Lincoln's birthday. Awesome. What's this room? Oh, this is like... shows you the Lincoln Memorial where we want to. On one side it has his speech. On the other, I forget what that's called, but y'all will remind me. Here's some pictures of them putting it together. It took 8 years and $3 million to turn a swampy section of the National Museum into the newest monument. At the opening dedication in 1922, former President Taft declared it a shrine at which we can all worship. That's pretty cool. I was just there. It's like awesome to go there. Definitely check it out. All right, sir. Thank you for your service and all you've done to improve this country. We appreciate you. You will be missed. Presidents like you are few and far between, buddy. Especially nowadays. But we hope you guys enjoyed that little tour today. Please hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And become a member. We need money, honey. But until next time, always remember, be happy, be healthy, and go out and enjoy some history, folks. See you later. Bye.
Peterson, that's what they call me. Promise that you never be lonely. Peterson, that's what they call me. Promise that you